The sun was setting on the desert world of Velunafor. Its golden light fell across endless waves of soft red sand. Wind moved slowly, carrying a quiet whistle. In the middle of that emptiness, a man stood still. His boots had sunk into the sand, and sweat rolled down his face. His name was Ray Carter, a human explorer from Earth. Ray was searching for something. Not treasure, not fame, just answers. The ground beneath him didn't feel right. As he brushed away the top layer of sand with his glove, strange markings began to appear. Thin, sharp lines, circles, arrows. It looked like a map, but not made with ink or paint. The design was burned into the stone, hidden under the sand. Just then, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned quickly. A tall, slim figure walked toward him with her head low and her robe dancing in the wind. She had deep violet eyes, pale silver skin, and small glowing dots along her cheeks. She looked alien but calm. "I saw your ship from the ridge," she said gently. "You should not be here." Ray tilted his head. "I could say the same to you." The girl hesitated, then looked at the exposed markings. Her expression changed. Her eyes widened, and her voice dropped. "You uncovered part of it, part of what." She stepped closer, kneeling beside the map in the sand. Her fingers hovered over it, but didn't touch. "The temple, the forbidden one." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Forbidden?" She looked at him now, directly. "Only elders speak of it. No one is allowed to find it, and if anyone does, they must leave it untouched." "Why?" he asked. She was quiet for a moment. The wind howled softly around them. Then she said, "Because it doesn't belong to us. The temple was here before my kind even arrived on this world. No alien technology works near it. But the strange thing is it reacts when a human gets close." Ray looked back down at the map. "Have any humans been here before?" She shook her head. "None have returned." He studied her face for a moment. "And what's your name?" "Cyril," she said. "I've been watching this place since I was a child. I dreamed of finding it, but they told me I must forget. I couldn't." "Then show me," Ray said. Cyril hesitated again, but there was something in Ray's eyes, something curious and warm. She nodded. They walked across the quiet dunes. The stars were beginning to show above them. After about 20 minutes of walking, Cyril stopped. "We're here," she whispered. But there was nothing, just more sand, until she knelt and ran her hand through the ground. Dust blew away, revealing the sharp edge of a stone corner. Together, they cleared more of it. Bit by bit, the top of his structure began to show a pyramid, old and covered in symbols. It looked asleep, untouched for ages. Ray moved closer. His hand hovered over the side of the stone. "May I?" Sarah stepped back. "I don't know what will happen." Ray took a breath, then pressed his palm against the cold surface. For a second, nothing. Then, faintly, a glow began to move under his hand. Lines of light spread across the surface, crawling out like roots. The symbols began to shine. The wind stopped. The sand settled dot, and then, slowly, a low sound rumbled through the air. A thin crack formed at the base of the pyramid right in front of them. The stone shifted. A hidden door began to slide open. Syrah's breath caught in her throat. "It's never done that before," she said. Ray stared into the dark space behind the door. A soft blue light flickered from inside. "I think it was waiting," he whispered. Syrah stepped forward. "You don't have to go in." Ray looked at her, calm but firm. "But I do, don't I?" The light from the temple reflected in both their eyes. It felt like something ancient had just woken up, and it had chosen him. Far above them, something in the sky shifted. A signal had been sent, but neither of them noticed. Not yet. The soft blue light from the open doorway gently touched the edges of the sand outside. Ray stood still, eyes fixed on the dark space within the pyramid. The air felt cooler near the entrance, like the temperature had dropped the moment the stone moved. Sarah stood beside him, quietly watching. Her face showed both fear and wonder. "This place," she said softly, "was never meant to open. Not for us." Ray turned to her. "But it opened for me." "Why?" She didn't answer. She didn't know. With slow steps, Ray entered the temple. The floor inside was smooth and polished, but it wasn't made of any metal or stone he knew. The walls were covered in glowing lines that moved slowly, as if alive. No wires, no machines, just smooth surfaces and shifting light. Syrah followed behind him, careful not to touch anything. Her footsteps were quiet, like she didn't want the temple to notice her. As they moved deeper, The hallway opened into a round chamber. At the center floated a sphere of light, almost like a small sun, but it didn't burn. It simply pulsed with energy. All around it were symbols, floating in the air. Spinning slowly, Ray reached out a hand toward the floating sphere. Syrah grabbed his arm, not with force, but with worry. "Wait," she whispered. "What if it's a test?" Ray gave her a small nod, then slowly brought his hand closer. The moment his fingers got near, the sphere shifted its color from blue to a soft gold, and the floating symbols rearranged themselves into patterns that looked like maps, star systems, and strange coordinates. Ray blinked. "That's Earth's system," he said, pointing. Syrah stepped closer. "I don't recognize any of this," she said. "These maps, they aren't from my people." Ray tilted his head. "But they look familiar to me. Some of them match old records from early space missions. It's like this temple knew us." As they stood there trying to understand the patterns, a sound filled the chamber. Not a voice, not words, but a vibration, soft and deep, as if the walls themselves were speaking in emotion, not language. The floating sphere turned again. This time, a beam of light came from it and scanned Ray from head to toe. He felt no pain, only a strange warmth, like he was being welcomed. Then, the wall behind the sphere began to move. A panel slid aside, revealing a hidden corridor. The air coming from it was colder, untouched for maybe centuries. Ray looked at Syrah. "It wants us to go deeper." She hesitated. "Ray, this is not normal. Nothing in my history books said anything like this. This place, it reacts like it knows you." Ray gave her a gentle smile. "Then let's find out why." They stepped through the hidden corridor. The light followed them. The further they walked, the more the walls changed. Instead of alien patterns, they now showed images, drawings of people who looked human. They were building things, flying ships, standing among tall towers. Then the images showed storms, empty cities, stars going dark. And finally, the same pyramid they had just entered. Syrah stared at the carvings. "This isn't just a temple," she said. "It's a memory." They reached the end of the corridor. Another door stood before them, smooth and without handles. Just a small square panel on the side. Ray touched it. The panel lit up, scanned his hand, and the door slid open silently. Behind it was another chamber, much larger and brighter. It looked like a control room. In the center floated a strange object, shaped like a cube but made of glowing crystal. It turned slowly in the air, waiting. Ray stepped forward again. But this time, the cube spoke, not in words, but in images. Ray's mind filled with visions, brief and clear. He saw a race of humans in the distant past, traveling the stars, building great structures, sharing knowledge. But then something happened. A signal, a warning, a choice to hide everything they were before it was all lost. Ray gasped and stepped back. "They were us, long before us." Syrah looked confused. "What did you see?" Ray looked around the room, breathing slowly. "This place, it's not alien. It was built by humans, ancient humans, from a time we don't even remember." Syrah took a step forward, looking around. "Then why does no one know?" Ray glanced at the cube, still glowing. "Maybe we forgot, or maybe someone made us forget." The chamber hummed again. A soft vibration moved through the floor. The cube floated toward another sealed door and it opened. Beyond it, stairs led down into deeper darkness. Ray looked at Syrah. "We're not done yet." She nodded. "Let's see how far the memory goes." Ray stepped onto the first stair, and the light behind him faded. It was quiet, too quiet. The air was cooler here, untouched by time or breath. Syrah followed close behind, her eyes scanning every inch of the stone walls as they moved deeper beneath the surface. Neither of them spoke. The silence felt sacred. The staircase spiraled gently downward. Soft lights blinked along the walls, lighting the path one step at a time, as if the temple itself guided them. At the bottom, the stairway ended in a smooth, round doorway, but this one didn't open automatically. Instead, a set of symbols appeared on its surface, floating, glowing softly, shifting their shapes every few seconds. Ray reached out instinctively, but the symbols moved away from his hand. They circled him slowly, then returned to the door. The shapes reminded him of puzzles he used to solve, as a child, patterns needing the right touch, the right order. "It's testing you," Syrah said quietly. "The door, it wants to see if you can understand." Ray nodded. He took a deep breath and studied the shapes. There were 5 of them: a star, a wave, a spiral, a hand, and an eye. Each blinked in a rhythm. Ray noticed the timing. One was faster, one slower. The wave always followed the star, no matter how the pattern changed. He raised his hand and touched the star first. It glowed brighter. Then he touched the wave. It pulsed softly. He paused, then picked the spiral. Nothing happened. The door flashed red for a brief second, and the symbols returned to their starting positions. Sarah stepped closer. "You made one mistake, but the temple didn't lock you out." Ray nodded. "It's letting me try again." This time he looked deeper. He noticed the hand only blinked when the spiral dimmed, and the eye. It blinked. Alone, he tried again: star, wave, hand, spiral, then eye. This time, the symbols joined together, forming a ring. They sank into the door, and the stone melted away into light. The next chamber was unlike anything they had seen before. It was massive, stretching wider than any room they had passed. The walls curved gently upward, and the ceiling shimmered like stars. But what stood out most was the floor. Floating above it were dozens of shifting pieces, geometric platforms, each moving slowly, like parts of a silent machine. There were paths, but not all led forward. Some moved in circles, some vanished when stepped on. A soft humming sound filled the air. Not loud, not harsh, just present, as if the room was alive. "It's a puzzle," Ray said, "but one you walk through." Sarah nodded slowly. "It's like it was made for someone with human instinct, someone who doesn't just follow logic, but feeling." Ray took his first step onto a nearby platform. It moved gently, carrying him forward. He stepped again, and the next one rotated him slightly. He paused. From behind, Sarah watched silently. The platforms didn't react to her at all. They stayed still. "Unmoving." Ray turned back. "They only move for me." Sarah nodded. "It's proof. This entire place was meant to be unlocked by your kind." Ray stepped carefully from one platform to the next. He had to guess sometimes. The wrong step didn't lead to danger, simply led him back. The puzzle was patient, testing, watching. After several minutes of careful movement, he reached the far end of the chamber. There, resting on a raised circle of stone, was an object covered in a soft glow. It looked like a sealed pod, tall, narrow, and transparent. Inside it, a figure stood motionless. Ray's heart skipped a beat. The figure inside was shaped like a human. Its features were sharp but calm. Its body was covered in a strange suit, half organic, half machine. Its eyes were closed. Its hands rested over its chest, holding a small, glowing cube. Sarah had reached the edge of the chamber now, watching from a distance. "Is it alive?" Ray slowly stepped forward. The air around the pod shimmered gently. He reached out, and the cube in the figure's hands lit up. A low hum spread across the room. The pod opened, slowly, quietly. The figure's eyes opened. They looked directly at Ray. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the figure spoke. Its voice was quiet, rough, like someone waking from a long sleep. "You came," it said. After all this time, Ray felt his chest tighten. "Who are you?" The figure stepped out of the pod, standing tall. "I am Kale, last of the first ones. We built this place for you, for the day you would return." Ray looked at Sarah, then back at Kale. "Return?" Kale nodded. "You are the key. You are the echo of the ones who came before. And now, it is time to remember." Ray stood frozen, not out of fear, but confusion. Kale looked like a human, but something about him felt older, not just in age but in presence. His movements were smooth, balanced. His voice carried a strange weight, like every word came from deep memory. Sarah slowly stepped closer, her silver eyes studying Kale with curiosity and caution. "You said you are the last of the first ones," she spoke gently. "Who were they?" Kale turned toward her, the soft blue light of the temple reflecting off his strange suit. "Long ago," he said, "there was a time when humans didn't just live on one world. They walked among stars, built cities on moons, learned to speak with light and silence. We were not explorers, we were builders." Ray stepped forward. "If that's true, why don't we know? Why does no one on Earth remember this?" Kale looked up at the ceiling. It shimmered like stars again, but now the lights began to shift, forming pictures, memories painted with light. "You were never supposed to forget," Kale said softly. "But something happened. A mistake. A signal sent across the stars, calling everything back. That signal was never answered. So, we hid our legacy, in temples like this one, and waited. Ray watched the lights carefully. They showed so large they made planets look small, cities filled with energy, children learning by touching knowledge, not reading it. But then, the images changed. A wave of darkness, silence, people vanishing. Kale looked at Ray. You are the first to unlock this temple in 1,000 cycles. That means something inside you still carries the spark. Syrah tilted her head. Spark. Kale held up the cube from his pod. It floated between his palms, glowing brighter. This, he said, is a memory core. It can only bond with someone carrying the original signal, the genetic signature of the ancient line. You carry it, Ray. That is why the temple opened. For you, Ray was quiet. It was too much to take in. He had come here to study alien ruins. But now he stood in a place built by his own kind, forgotten builders of the stars. Kale handed him the cube. The moment Ray touched it, a soft vibration filled the room. And then his mind opened. He didn't see dreams. He felt history. He was standing on the bridge of a starship, hands resting on a console made of light. Around him were others, but different, taller, wise. They spoke without sound. They moved with purpose. Then he was standing before a great council. Light surrounded him. A decision was being made to protect knowledge. They had to hide it. On quiet worlds, in locked places, waiting for a future soul to return. The vision faded. Ray stepped back, eyes wide. I saw them. I was there. Kale nodded. You accessed the living memory. It only shows truth. Syrah looked at Ray. So your people, they were here first. Not just here, Ray said, looking around. Everywhere. Kale turned, facing a door that had not opened yet. There is more to see, he said, and a choice to make. As the door opened, a soft wind flowed into the chamber, though there was no source. The hallway ahead was dark, but lined with small lights along the floor. The three of them walked slowly, the silence between them now filled with meaning. At the end of the corridor, they entered a tall room with a dome-shaped ceiling. In the center was a large platform, and above it floated a glowing sphere spinning slowly, covered in star maps. Kale raised his hand. The sphere shifted, stars moved, systems appeared. Dozens of them were marked in blue, but one single system was red. This, Kale said, was the home system, the place where it all began. Ray stepped closer. That's not Earth's system. Kale nodded. No, Earth was a colony, one of the last. The real origin is lost in that red system. But now, the path is opening again. Syrah looked at Kale, then at Ray. Why now? Kale's voice lowered. Because others have started searching. Not all of them seek to learn. Some only wish to control. If they find the others before you do, the knowledge will be locked away forever, or used wrongly. Ray placed the memory cube on the platform. The room lit up. The star map began to expand. New lines appeared hidden. Paths, ancient coordinates, and gateways. The temples, Ray said quietly. There are more of them. Kale nodded. Yes, spread across space, sleeping, waiting. Ray looked at Syrah. Then we waked them. Kale's eyes softened. It begins with this choice. Remain hidden, or reclaim what was lost. Ray didn't hesitate. We go forward. Syrah gave a quiet smile. The room dimmed, and the floor beneath them began to shift. A soft hum rose through the air as a hidden passage opened beneath the map. They had taken the first step into something far bigger than themselves, and the stars were watching again. Asterisk, the platform lowered slowly, like an ancient elevator made of light and silence. Ray stood still, his eyes fixed on the glowing path ahead. The memory cube floated beside him, casting a soft golden glow on the walls. Syrah stood to his right, watching every detail, and Kale, calm and quiet, stood at the back, his gaze fixed not on the walls, but on something far beyond. As they reached the bottom, the walls opened into a wide circular chamber. The space was different, warmer. Somehow, the floor was covered in smooth, reflective panels. Above them, a glass-like dome showed the sky, but not the desert sky outside. This one showed stars, dozens of them, slowly rotating. It was a sky from another time, maybe another place. Ray stepped forward. As he did, the stars above shifted again. This time, they weren't just moving, they were responding. One by one, certain stars brightened, each one lit up in a soft, golden light. A trail of connections appeared between them. Kale raised a hand. "These are the ancient sites," he said. "Temples like this one, hidden across space. Each one contains part of the whole memory." Ray stared up. "How many are there?" Kale looked thoughtful. 17 that we know of, but only 4 remained active. Sarah looked up too. "And the rest? Forgotten, buried, lost to time, or taken by those who didn't understand what they found." Ray's voice was steady. "We can bring them back." Kale nodded. "Yes, but time is not on your side." As if to answer that warning, the dome flickered on. A new image appeared. A fleet of ships, unknown design, dark, cold shapes moving through space, heading toward one of the glowing stars on the map. Sarah stepped forward. "Who are they?" Kale's voice dropped. "They are not builders. They seek only to unlock, not to understand. If they reach the temples before you, they could damage what cannot be repaired." Ray stared at the image of the ships. "Then we go first." Suddenly, the platform beneath them shifted again, revealing a hidden staircase leading to a smaller room. It was circular and filled with soft light. In the center was a chair, no, not just a chair. A seat designed for one person, surrounded by rings and softly glowing threads of energy. Kale gestured to it. "This is the core interface. It links the memory cube to your mind. Through it, you can awaken the first signal." Ray stepped forward. "What does the signal do?" Kale replied. "It sends a message across the stars to any temple still listening. It tells them a key has returned." Ray looked at Sarah. She gave him a soft nod, her eyes full of quiet trust. He sat down in the chair. The moment he did, the rings around him activated. The memory cube floated to the center of the room. Lines of light flowed from it to the walls, the ceiling, and then to Ray himself. His eyes closed, and in that moment, he was no longer in the room. He saw a sky without end. He saw temples sleeping under oceans, structures hidden inside hollow moons, caverns carved inside asteroids, each glowing faintly. He saw humans ancient and new reaching toward each other across time. But then he saw something else, a warning. One of the temples far from here had already been touched. Its light was dim, its signal broken. Something had entered, but not unlocked it. The knowledge inside was sealed, and now something was trying to force it open. Ray's heart pounded. The vision faded. He opened his eyes slowly. The chair dimmed. The cube floated back into his hand. "I saw it," he said quietly. "One of the temples. It's in danger." Kale nodded. "Then you must go to it. Not all the knowledge is safe anymore, but some parts still remember who we were." Ray stood, his voice steady. "Where is the nearest one?" Kale pointed to one of the glowing stars in the map above. "This one, a water-covered world. The temple is hidden under a deep ocean trench." Sarah raised her eyes. "We'll need a ship." Kale smiled faintly. "You already have one." A wall to their left slid open, revealing a large, curved hallway that led upward, and at the end, a soft white light. They walked toward it, side by side. As they reached the top, the light grew brighter. A platform extended outward, and at its center rested a ship, sleek, silent, waiting. Ray stepped forward. The door opened automatically. Kale placed a hand on Ray's shoulder. "This ship is bonded to the signal. It will take you to the next temple, but after that, you'll be on your own." Ray nodded. "We'll manage." Sarah smiled. Together, as the ship powered up and lifted off the temple floor, the stars above shifted once more, watching, listening, and waiting. The journey had just begun, but for the first time in centuries, the stars had a human to follow again. The glowing path inside the temple pulsed gently, like it was waiting for someone. Erin stepped forward slowly, unsure if his human touch would affect anything else. The alien girl, Lyra, stayed close, her fingers brushing the temple wall. She whispered softly in her language, as if speaking to the structure itself. They moved down a curved hallway made of smooth stone that shimmered faintly. Strange patterns danced along the wall, symbols that didn't stay still, as if they were alive. Erin looked back once. The door had closed silently behind them. There was no going back now. A low hum started under their feet. The air changed, warmer, thicker, almost like the temple was waking up, responding to them. Lyra stopped walking and turned to Erin. "You feel that?" she asked quietly. He nodded. "It's like the walls are watching." At that moment, something flickered ahead. Floating lights began to appear in mid-air. They were small, like stars, and they hovered in a pattern. Lyra raised her hand, and the lights moved. shifting into a shape that resembled a star map. She looked at Erin. "This is the path, but only you can choose it." The lights responded when Erin stepped closer. They twisted and spun, settling into a single glowing point on the far wall. A soft sound echoed. A new door appeared, one they hadn't seen before. It wasn't made of stone, but something glassy, like crystal. Erin reached for it, but Lyra grabbed his wrist gently. "Before you open it, you should know no one from my world has ever been past that door. It was meant for someone like you." "Why me?" Erin asked. Lyra looked down. "Because you dream like we used to, before fear changed us." That answer only raised more questions, but there was no time for them now. The crystal door slowly opened on its own, as if it heard their voices. Warm air drifted out, carrying a soft melody, something that felt like music and memory mixed together. Inside was a chamber unlike the rest. It was round, high-roofed, and filled with what looked like floating islands of stone. Between them, thin light bridges blinked in and out of existence. A soft golden mist floated in the air. Lyra stepped onto the first platform without hesitation. Erin followed, though his heart was pounding. The moment both of them stood on the island, the bridges connected by themselves. One path lit up ahead of them, only one. They moved together, one platform at a time. In the center of the chamber stood something unexpected, a tall pillar with an orb on top. The orb shimmered with many colors, but it went still when Erin came close. It turned dark, reflective, and then showed something strange, his own face. But behind him, not Lyra, someone else. Another human, a woman he'd never seen before. Lyra saw it too. Her eyes widened. She's the other one. The Guardian. What Guardian? Long ago, one from your kind was here before. Lyra whispered. She left a key inside the temple. You may be her echo. Erin felt dizzy. Everything connected now in a way he didn't understand. The orb suddenly lit up and floated above the pillar. Lines of light streamed from it, passing through Erin and Lyra, wrapping them in warmth. And then it spoke. A voice, soft, deep, not male or female, filled the room. To have entered one of the old spark, one of the forgotten flame. The path awakens. Then the chamber began to shift. The floating islands moved apart. Walls opened, revealing new passageways. The temple wasn't just a place, it was a living maze, and it had just opened a new level. Lyra looked at Erin, her voice trembling but excited. We've done something no one else ever has. Erin looked back at the voice that was now gone. But what does it want from us? From above, something descended, small, glowing, shaped like a cube, and it hovered between them. On its surface, images flickered, stars, ancient creatures, and at the end, Earth. Their journey had just begun.